Hey there, just one little thing that came to sort of share about was this idea of perspectives. A lot of people are very hung up on the idea that it needs to be this radical shift in perspective, that the way I'm seeing reality is wrong, that there is a correct way to see it, and that I have to sort of move into a more appropriate view of reality to offset my wrong view of it now. It's a lot less like that and more like seeing all of this perspective taking for what it is. So you could say, if I think I'm a seeker, then the perspective that's taken up is one of sort of a narrow worldview, a very limited view, the sense that I'm very important as a separate entity, the very real notion that I'm cut off from everything else, I'm distinct from my surroundings and that sort of thing. And then that is seen, that perspective taking mechanism is seen by the emptiness that we are. You could say that from the perspective of being, which isn't really a perspective at all, it's sort of a perspectiveless awareness. Everything's apparently manifested is seen as very transitory and very inconsequential, but at the same time it's seen as the fullness of the divine expression. So it's a both and. It's both empty and it's completely full of this divine love. But from the notion of being a separate seeker, it seems like that's blocked off. That raw seeingness seems to be eclipsed in a certain way. But that's only because I've taken myself to be standing and looking for the sun, when in actuality we are the sun. So eclipses and all that don't really mean anything if what we are is the shiningness. So that's sort of what's alluded to in the perspective shift. It's more like seeing the complete fallacy of taking any perspective. If I take any perspective whatsoever, it's going to be a very limited and transitory view that's subject to questioning. So if I take the perspective of being a non-dualist, that can be questioned and dismantled by some other perspective. So it's more like recognizing the original nature of seeing itself, of what this is, what being is right now, which sees all this perspective taking and dismantling and wondering about and all that sort of stuff. And then the whole notion of shifts, that there needs to be shifts and movements into better states or ways of looking and that sort of thing. That's more activity happening, coming and going, which doesn't actually do anything of itself. It's just a play that occurs. And so the whole search, the whole notion of a search, what is it? Do I know what the search is? And what knows that? So it's always starting off with this perspectivelessness. The same being that is being sought is what's here now. So before the search even starts, whatever that would even mean, because it doesn't actually inherently have any real validity to say that I'm a seeker and then I'm not a seeker anymore. It gives rise to the notion that there is time happening. So I'm in time, I'm a person in time, or I'm an entity in time, and that there's this stuff really happening to me because I don't see that I'm looking from the awareness. I'm looking as the awareness itself, behind the eyes sort of thing. But it doesn't start as a contracted point, it's just the wide open nature of it. It's not like a projector, it's like here's the form of the projector. It's just the undifferentiated light. And then you could say the body is like a projector, so the light just sort of doesn't really come from any location, but it just sort of goes through the mechanism of the body mind and sees only itself, really. It sees only light, including the mechanism is also light. So the ego mechanism is also that light. So there's only one thing happening. There's only one thing going on. And it's not going anywhere. It's just here, somehow. It's like an immersion. It's just immersed in itself. And there's nothing special going on here. This isn't anything out of the ordinary. This isn't anything remote. This isn't any sort of achievement. This is as much an achievement as it is for a baby to be a baby. Jeff Foster always says, we've all been newborn babies, so we have an inkling of what this is. Even if we go really far into this apparent dream of separation, there's still that inkling. So that can be trusted, that really surefire sort of sense. Oh, yes. And it's not like a verbal thing. It's just sort of, it's like a bodily thing, more so. But even if there's no body, which there isn't, really, there is that awareness still. People talk about having out-of-body experiences and all that sort of stuff. So that awareness must be first, to see whether there's an in-body experience or an out-of-body experience, or any of that stuff. So that awareness must be primary. But obviously there's no need for any of those special experiences to happen to confirm that awareness, because that's all there is anyway. So whether I confirm this experience as out-of-body and then make that mean something, they don't matter really. Or a radical shift in perspective, which we were alluding to about the notion that this is a different sort of way of looking. It's raw seeing. It has nothing to do with a way of looking that I've taken up, like a doctrine. So that's the investigation. That's what it reveals, is that all of these modalities are false in a sense, but that rawness of the actual seeing is real, because it illuminates all the perspectives that can be argued and taken up and disputed. So all of that activity that feels kind of like being in a carousel or something, it's like that still point amidst the moving parts, maybe, you know, for lack of a better term. So what else? I mean, it's all going on. It's just what's going on, really. Being sort of just arising, really. That's it. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what compelled me to get up. I was just laying in bed listening to music. I don't know what made this body-mind walk downstairs to record this, really. Because if I think I'm a teacher, then it's almost like there's this secondary thing going on all the time. So it's like, I know the truth. I know it. Someone else doesn't know it. I need them to know that I know it. And I need them to acknowledge that they don't know and that I know. And so it's like a mutual hostage-taking scenario. But if all there is being, then where's this game gonna happen, really? How can we take advantage of each other in that way if it's all the same light, really? But then, you know, anything can happen, so this isn't very trustworthy. What's being suggested here is garbage, really. Being that we are, the beingness that we are, is real. But all this, me, the camera, the computer, the thoughts, they're all passing rubbish in a way. It's not bad. It's just, if we were to do a comparison, it's not that it is actually being itself, but if the rawness of being isn't recognized, then there'll be kind of a playing around in appearances, mucking around in concepts, and it'll feel like garbage. It'll feel like it's not the real deal. So that's sort of what the direct investigation reveals. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just trusting oneself. There is only the one self, and that's all that can be trusted, is that I am. Thank you.